Good afternoon, everybody. All my respected speakers and all participants for this webinar. We all know in this current situation, we cannot go for the normal seminar, but we can go for the webinar also. So, thanks to all participants. Welcome you all. We are going to start our first webinar, that is Avenues of Life Sciences, Industry or Academic. So today we have four different speakers from different field. First, we like to start with our welcome address, and welcome address should be given by Gautam, one of our colleague, Dr. Gautam Mukherjee. Okay, Gautam, please proceed. Gautam, can you hear me? And for the participants, please mute your microphone and the hello. This is a request from our committee. Please mute your microphones.
Is it okay? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the first webinar organized by Andrea Gaji on avenues of life sciences, industry or academic in this present pandemic situation. It is quite sure that we all change our lifestyle, but how could we change our style of learning and education system in this present scenario? The webinar intend to help understand the scopes of life science undergraduates and postgraduates after the finish of their course curriculum, as well as job opportunities in this field. As for example, some of you may not be aware of pharmacovigilance or clinical research, which is now a hot topic in this decade. Students, after completing their undergraduate studies, can opt for higher studies like MSc, MBA in health science, or they can move to industries only with their graduation. So both the options are open for the students. Many students wish to stay in the same field and opt for research so that they will be expert in their fields. The students who are planning for their higher studies should start preparing for the entrance examination right from the degree course. They can also approach various career guidance institutes which help them to crack the entrance level examinations. Students should give importance to their analytical power, logical reasoning, and English language proficiency. Seafoods, bakeries, distillation plants, and fish products are in demand, and these sectors provide opportunities for life science students. Waste management will also be in demand for microbiologists and biotechnologists. Different aspects of life sciences will be discussed in this webinar, whether it is academic or industrial. Andragogy started its journey from 2013 to enable students prepare for their dream career in the life science. Now, in the span of 7 years, undergraduate and postgraduate students online and offline classroom coachings, hands-on training, etc. Since 2018, we started our new classroom coaching program for CSIR NET, ICMR NET, GATE under CCCP, that is Combined Competitive Course for Postgraduates. Now we are also involved with online classroom program for undergraduate and postgraduate students. The institute organizes scientific workshops and hands-on training on molecular diagnosis in collaboration with corporates and industries. We are really proud with our alumni who are now placed in different industries, universities, and institutes in all over the world. Thank you again for attending this webinar and welcome to this first webinar, The Avenues of Life Sciences, Industry or Academy.
Thank you, Gautam. So we start our first lecture with Dr. Shobhik Chatterjee. We have 4 different topics. One is with Dr. Shobhik Chatterjee. The first one is with the Dr. Shobhik Chatterjee. Second, Dr. Chandrama Mukherjee. Third, Dr. Debjani Pal. And fourth, with Shutoshri Pal. So first, welcome. Good afternoon, Dr. Chatterjee, for being with us. Dr. Chatterjee.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Chatterjee is now working as a Deputy General Manager at Lupin Limited. He worked as a delivery manager for European Union, Canada, and Indian pharma clients with consistently high Net Promoter Score of 9.5 for pharmacovigilance accounts. His responsibilities are for business development, delivery management, account management, operational excellence, quantity assurance, audit inspection, and computer system validation. He has more than 15 years of experience in life science and healthcare domain. Dr. Chatterjee completed his MSc in biochemistry from University of Calcutta and awarded PhD from NICET affiliated to Jadavpur University, Life Science and Biotechnology. He started his career as a senior pharmacovigilance scientist at Novartis Health Private Limited. In 2017, he did his MBA in Operation and Marketing from National Institute of Business Management. Last but not the least, he is an Agile certificate programmer, so practitioners from 2019. So please carry on, Dr. Chatterjee, for your valuable lectures.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee. So I would like to share my screen.
Sure. Wait for a while.
Yeah. Hope all of you can see my screen now.
No.
No, sir.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So thank you everybody and welcome to Andragogy's webinar. So when we had a discussion about the career selection, so I remember that after completion of my MSc and PhD from University of Calcutta and from Jadavpur University, I was searching for the right career avenue. So I was sending my application for the postdoctorate degree to all the US universities in UK, EU, across globe, as well as I was searching for the different job opportunities in the industry. So when we had this discussion, so I immediately can connect with my situation during my studenthood and early in my life. So I thought that let's discuss this in this Sunday afternoon, and this is I am sure that this will be very much helpful for all of us in exchanging the ideas. So one of the very important thing which actually we need to understand while we go through the presentation, that all the discussion what we are going to discuss today and all these views which I am going to present is not anywhere linked to Lupin views. So these are my personal opinion and experience and my personal views. So this is the disclosure I would like to have before I start the session. Thank you. So, the things which we are going to cover today in my session is about the career opportunities after your graduation and post graduation. Then, obviously, we are going to touch about the pharmacovigilance and clinical researches, which is my bread and butter. And then, obviously, I would like to discuss about how you are going to plan your career today. So, three things are very much important for your authentic career. And when we say it's authentic career, so what is your authentic career? So, authentic career meaning that what is a suitable and most appropriate career for you. So, many of the times we select the career which has to fulfill the dream of our parent. I'm sure that many of you have seen the movie of the Three Idiots, right? So, where this show that how they have to fulfill their dreams of the parents. But now in today's world, so we are matured enough, so we have to think that what is the best career opportunity for an, and that is the authentic career for you and me and for everybody. So my authentic career may not be the authentic career for you, and your authentic career is not the authentic career for the other person of your friend. So in my view, there are three important questions which we need to understand and address before we answer this question of authentic career. So the first question is, what am I good at? So this actually triggers from the discussion and the thought that there are two things which we always think about. One is the passion, and second one is the reality. So my passion is something. So I always, from our childhood, we dream for something and some for dream job, and the reality is something else. So really, you have to see that the passion which I am looking for from my childhood is appropriate in the current market situation, or is there any better avenue for my career? So there are some recent statistics and the data has been available, and it has been shown that 75% of the employees in our Indian workforce actually not conceal their actual opportunities and the abilities, and this they do something else to perform and earn their living. The second question, which I think is very much important for us, that what people tell me about I'm good at. So this actually takes a
Hello.
opportunity to
Shobik, Dr. Chatterjee, your screen is
yes, yes.
present there. I cannot see your screens.
Is it okay? So I'll
No, no.
reshare it again then. Just I'm trying to reconnect again with the screen.
Okay.
Please allow me a moment. Yeah. Please let me know once you can see my screen.
Sure.
Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
Dr. Chatterjee, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And at the same time, I'm trying to share the slide deck also with you in case I'm just trying to send this over to you.
I think the presenter option should be changed.
Who is the presenter right now, Gautam?
Actually, the presenter right now, you, the andragogy webinar.
Is it so? How could it be possible?
Mr. Chatterjee, I have also shared the presentation with you. So,
No, where, are you in the screen? I don't think so. Chatterjee, are you in the screen? No. Dr. Chatterjee, I can't see you. Your video is on. Hello, hello, Dr. Chatterjee. Hello, Dr. Chatterjee, can you hear me? I think there's a problem in internet. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there is a problem in internet connection. Dr. Chatterjee, can you hear me? Participants are requested to please. Okay, the problem is with the line. Participants are requested to please stop your videos. This is my request, please. Okay, Chatterjee, please carry on.
okay, yeah.
Okay, fine.
So I hope, yeah. Okay. So the second point is actually very important, that what people tell me I'm good at. So this is actually sometimes what is your natural talent over passion, because few of us are already in the knowledge industry, and some of you have a natural inclination of teaching. So they may not be very good at the innovation. They may not be I may not be very good at the innovating the things and bringing the new ideas to the labs. I'm not may not be a very great researcher, but I am a very good teacher. I can be a very good mentor and sharing the knowledge with the newcomers and the new joinees. So always think in that perspective, from that what is your natural talent and what is your passion. So and this actually helps if you take an inventory and look at your life, and just ask the question that if anybody has asked you for some any time for some teaching, did you help them in teaching, and how what is their feedback? So there is a way to find out. And the third thing, which in my view is very much important, is ask yourself what you are holding yourself back. So because and this is actually very much important to say it, open your emotional backpack, because many of the times we have seen that, and actually this is very true for myself. So whenever I was looking for my postdoctorate opportunities in US, few of my friends from Calcutta University got that opportunity, and I was thinking I should get that. So sometimes you have to set aside and that baggage and emotional backpack. Maybe there is some better opportunity for you, and maybe God has thought something better place for you. So the career opportunities which we are going to discuss, these are the few, and there are many more, right? So there are many more. So one of the thing is, as most of you know, that research, right? So there can be the basic research. What do we mean by basic research? Basic research meaning that in the lab you are doing some research, as for example, which may not be immediately helpful for the industry or for the human mankind, but it may have some other opportunities and other scope. And there may be opportunities with the research with the corporates. As for example, I am working in a corporate, I am working in an industry. There are many pharmaceutical industries, right? And there are many biotechnological universities and biotech companies who are looking for new innovation in terms of the drugs, new innovation in terms of the molecules, and there are many other technique, molecular diagnostic technique. So may I please request all of you to mute yourself? Thank you.
Carry on.
Yeah. Okay, and then research, the other profession, obviously, the most noble profession is that the teaching. So we have the government universities, the private universities, where different streams are open. So there are huge lot of opportunities are there. Then the third stream is obviously the clinical research and data management. So pharmacovigilance, which I'm going to discuss in detail today, and this is again this is bread and butter of my life. So I'll give a lot of emphasis and focus on this. And obviously there are clinical researches are there. So then data management is there. So how the data is managed, the clinical research data, post-marketing data for the patient safety is managed, and how it is helpful to evolve the new drug development. Then the biostatistics researches are there, regulatory affairs are there, how the drugs is after once the drug is approved, we say that this drug can be taken ahead for the human population. Then what is the regulatory procedure, the different health authorities has to approve this. So there are a lot of authority procedures are there. So this is another avenue. So we are going to discuss all these things. And then obviously there are a lot of industry perspective, and the all lot of opportunities are there in the pharmaceutical industries are there, biotech firms are there, business solutions are there, then business process outsourcing processes are there, like we have the companies like Tata Consultancy, Cognizant. So again we'll come back to this when we'll have our end of the presentation. And then there are a lot of new emphasis has been given on the data analytics, robotics, right? So how many of you are really interested about the data science, robotics, and automation in your field of the drug development, right? So again, it is not only the drug development in your respective field as well. And there are many more avenues. So it is not concise, it is not only if I do not qualify for the NET or GET, my life is closed. So there are many more opportunities are there. So we'll start with a small video.
Sir, we cannot hear the video.
Sorry,
Video.
is the sound not audible?
The video. No sound. There is no sounds.
There is no sound. So is it audible now?
Actually not.
Okay. Um, so um, Shamrat or Gautam, is there any? Can you help me in this?
You are mute, Shomra Chatterjee.
Hello. You please start your
Yeah,
video
yeah.
first. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Please start your video first.
Okay.
I will check this.
Yeah. Okay.
Or you have this video in your hard disk, I think so.
No, actually, this is in YouTube.
So you can
Uh,
share it from the YouTube also.
okay.
Or
Just give
after
me a
finishing.
moment then.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Mm.
Or you do one thing. You please send a link to the participants so they can see this video. That's not an issue. Or you can
Okay.
start this from here.
Okay. Yeah. Just give me a moment then.
Okay, sure. No, it's not audible.
Sorry.
No, it's not
It's
audible.
not audible. So, Shamrat, is it possible to play the slide from your side?
Uh, it
Uh,
it can be, but
I'm
right now you can proceed yourself. It's not an issue.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Great. So, what I'll do, I'll try to provide the background. Means I'll try to explain this over here. So, this actually started in 1960 when 1962, and in SIBA actually has introduced a new drug. It is called thalidomide, and it was actually very safe. So you can see that US president even was briefing that this drug was. It was initially mentioned as it is a so safe drug that anybody can take the drug, and even the pregnant woman can take that drug. But later, it has been identified that this drug, all the pregnant mother who has been taken, then they have some babies, and the babies doesn't have all the organs. So this is called phocomelia, and it was actually it took a lot of years to identify that there is a connection between that this particular event and the drug. So as you can see that um, uh, many of the companies and many of the countries actually have safely used this drug, but later it has been identified in Australia and New Zealand and in other countries that this drug was not safe. But when this company has requested USA, as you know that in USA all the drugs are developed and approved by FDA, USA FDA. So they have actually, when reviewed this data, they found that there was some lack of study about the pregnant women. So they have not ready to use the drug and they approve the drug, but they have actually received a lot of requests from the company, and being a global company, they have influenced FDA a lot to approve the drug. But that lady, I'll just try move on this. This lady actually, this Francis Kelsey. So he was the US FDA inspector for this drug approval, and she found that this drug was not actually have any clinical trial safety evaluation in the pregnant patient. So she didn't approve that drug, and later she has been also been nominated as one of the as a heroine by FDA, and got a lot of opportunities. But that has actually triggered a lot of introspection of the drug before it gets approved. So as you can see that it was in 1960s the first case of phacomelia. There are total around 20,000 cases, and all those babies are like this. So either they don't have the hands or they don't have the legs. You can see here, right? So this has triggered a lot of drug regulations and starting on of the pharmacovigilance. So in UK in 1964, the yellow card scheme has been started as one of the steps. Then in the WHO, also in 1968, the pharmacovigilance initiative has been started. So what is pharmacovigilance? So pharmacovigilance, as you can see that just watching the drug for the safety. So whenever we do any clinical trial for a drug, in the first stage, we always check the efficacy. So that is obviously our main viewpoint, because we target one of the disease area and we to try to find out that whether that particular drug is working. But at the same time, it is very much important to see if the particular drug has any side effect. As for example, if I am taking a drug for my headache, and if just a quick check. So am I audible clearly?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So it is very much important to check that some side effect. As for example, if I am taking a drug for headache, and this can cause my liver damage, so it's not a very much safe drug, right? Because the drug is I'm taking for some nominal headache, and it is giving a severe trouble to my liver. So this kind of risk and balance is the primary backbone of pharmacovigilance. So the WHO definition is that this is the science and activities relating to the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of the adverse effect. The adverse effect meaning that the effect which is not intended, or if I am taking the drug for the efficacy or to resolve the headache, but it is giving me some other problem. So this is called the adverse effect. So detection, so assessment, so whether really it is causing by the drug or it is causing by something else, right? So maybe maybe I am a foodie, I like to take the food from outside, right? So it may be a cause for the liver disease. So that is why it is very much important that in pharmacovigilance we have to understand that what are the different medical history or the medical condition of the patient, and whether it is really causally related to our drug. So why drug and pharmaceutical industry is a big, or there is always a big uncertainty, because a drug, to develop a drug, it takes 10 to 12 years, right? To start from the proof of concept to market the drug, it takes 10 to 12 years. And out of the 5,000 to 10,000 lead molecules, you can get only 5 lead molecules which you can take to from preclinical to human trial, and 1 out of the clinical trial molecule is successful. So you can imagine that how much investment the companies are doing, right? Before one drug they successfully bring into the market, and all those years you have only 15 to 20 years of a patent for the particular drug. So in 15 and 20 years of the patent, your drug you can only the market, and then the different companies can produce the drug, and you are not the patent holder. So that is why it is very much important to understand that what are the different fields and how can we use the artificial intelligence, how can we use the different techniques, like the molecular biology techniques, the cloning technique, to understand that how can we quickly see the effect of the drug. So effect of the drug, when we say the effect of the drug, it is not only in terms of the efficacy, so it is both in terms of the efficacy as well as in safety. So what are the steps of this new drug development? So it start with the basic research, as you all have done. So in your graduation, post-graduation, and you must have seen that your senior researcher in the universities and the other people are also doing the same thing in doing the research of the work, right? So they are trying to establish some hypothesis that this actually work for this particular disease. then the new drug was discovered and screening. So out of, as for example, as we have just discussed, out of the 5,000 to 10,000 screening molecule, we have only able to identify few of the molecules which we can belong to bring to the preclinical stage. And this, after this preclinical stage, it comes to the formulation. Following that, it comes to the IND application, meaning that it goes to the regulatory approval that the health authority, like in India, we have the health authority of DCGI and CDSCO. In US, we have the FDA, and in Europe, we have the MHRA and EMA. So all those health authorities will actually review that what is the clinical trial you are going to conduct, and what is your hypothesis, and whether actually that is that will not do any harm to their population. And once you get their approval, then you can do the clinical studies. So again, there are different phases of the clinical studies, which I will come to the in the subsequent slide. And then once you submit those clinical studies results to the health authorities back again, and show them that your drug is really safe, and your drug is effective, as well as there are less consequences or less amount of adverse effect, then only your drug is approved. So these are the phases of the clinical trial, as you can see. So it starts with the phase 1. Then phase 1 has 10 to 100 healthy volunteers, and this is actually, in this step, the main objective of the clinical trial is to see the safety of the particular molecule, and pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics effect has been also checked, and then the dose finding, means which dose will be sufficient, and that particular dose should not be harmful to the particular target population. So this is checked in the phase 1. Then in the phase 2, we include more patients, but all in the controlled situation. In 100 to 300 patients have been are enrolled, and then the efficacy as well as safety has checked, that all those patients who have been enrolled. And there are, as you know, that there are different statistical methods are used to define different methods and protocols. So always your drug has to be checked against a reference or placebo. Placebo means that it does not have any effect on your population, right? And compared to that, you have your test molecule. You can check that this, as for example, if the patient A is taking drug A and patient B has been given placebo, that meaning that the patient who is in placebo will show that natural course of the disease, while the other patient will show you that how effective is your drug is, and how effectively the patient is recovering from the particular disease. And once the phase 2 is approved, and then phase 3 has been again with the more number of patients, as you can see, that 300 to 3,000 patients, and then it goes for the regulatory submissions. Yeah. And then obviously after approval, there is a phase 4, and is the post marketing approval of the drug. And obviously, as we have so far the data of the safety and efficacy on the control situation, now the situation is you are giving the drug to everybody at the bigger population who does not have any control, and they will give you the safety and efficacy data. So this is the data flow in the clinical trial. So as you can see that the patients have given the drug or your medicine which you are actually planning to check. Then you have your database where you have to include all those information, and then the data has been included in a safety database where you do an analysis, because for any data there is a huge number of data, right? So it requires an analysis. So if you have patient data of say 3,000 patients, and there are say 60 to 70 parameters are there, so you need a safety database, right? You need a clinical trial database where you will include all the population data, all the patient data, to check that if your drug has any adverse event, and if any adverse event is there, so whether it is actually related to the patient's medical history or the other concomitant condition. As for example, if patient is taking some other medicine, or if patient is taking some other drug or some other food along with the drug, all those things you have to do the permutation combination, and you have to see that if there is any adverse event coming out of the drug, or your drug is really a good one which you can take it forward to the patient. and then the data is analyzed and submitted to the health authorities.
Shovik, Dr. Chatterjee, you don't have too much of
Yes,
time
please.
because I have to stop this program within 50 minutes. So we have only 1 minute left. If you want to continue with this, then after 5 minutes we can continue this. So how much time will it
Okay.
take for this?
I need 5 more minutes time.
So better to close right now. All the participants, we used to close right now. We will be back within 5 minutes. Will it be fine for you?
Okay. Yes,